There's been progress in the high-stakes pursuit of a vaccine to defeat the coronavirus after a shot developed by AstraZeneca and the University of Oxford produced promising results. Early trials involving just over 1,000 people showed the injection led to the development of antibodies and T-cells that can fight COVID-19. Late-stage trials have already begun, raising the prospect that a shot could be available by the end of the year.
Now, what this vaccine does particularly well is trigger both arms of the immune system. So in addition to neutralizing antibodies, which other vaccines do, we also see a very strong T-cell response.
Obviously, I'm hopeful. I got my fingers crossed, but to say that I'm 100% confident that we'll get a vaccine this year or indeed next year is, alas, just an exaggeration. We're not there yet.
Well, for more, let's go to Dr. Eric Feigl-Ding in Washington. He's an epidemiologist and health economist and senior fellow at the Federation of American Scientists. Great to have you back on the program, Doctor. Now, in our previous conversations, you had mentioned that you believed the AstraZeneca and Oxford vaccine that was being developed showed possibly the most promising results of the dozens that are being developed around the world. We learned as much in the Lancet journal today. How hopeful are you about this vaccine? How big of a breakthrough is this?
Yeah, I think today we had some really breakthrough and promising results. Not only one vaccine trial report, but two vaccine trial reports. One from the Oxford group of 1,000 people, which is a phase 2, as well as a 600-person vaccine from Wuhan. In both of them, they show basically both humoral immunity as well as cellular immunity. So it improved your antibodies as well as your T cells responses. And that is a double whammy. And as according to one of its lead authors, could offer potential avenues for long-term protection.
Yes, and there is a lot of excitement because we know previously the top US infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, had said he was cautiously optimistic that the world would see at least one safe vaccine before the end of the year. Would the results of both this Oxford trial and the one in China, I guess, move us a step closer towards that goal of a shot before the end of the year?
Yeah, I think we're definitely getting much closer. And just so you know, the Oxford trial is also right now doing its phase 3 testing. It's a much larger expansion phase in Brazil. Trials are already ongoing. And we're hopeful that if we get results by September, October, that maybe emergency workers, healthcare workers could get the vaccine on a preliminary basis sometime this fall. But for the general population, I do believe it will be winter or spring 2021 before everyone else gets it.
Interesting. Now, what would this mean in terms of how countries are currently operating their economies? We know governments have been trying to strike this fine balance between, I guess, reviving their economies that have been under lockdown and the health risks associated with that. Would a vaccine mean that countries would be able to basically get back to normal, economically speaking?
Yeah, I think the vaccine is ultimately the end game of this virus and what will ultimately stop the pandemic. But it will take time because we are talking about billions of doses that the world needs. And we know how asymptomatic transmission it is, how pernicious it is in many ways. So, in terms of until we get it to the rest of the world, not just the first world countries, but also developing countries, then we can't say for sure that the virus will be ended immediately. But hopefully, with the vaccine, we will be able to put it to an end or begin to put it to an end in early next year and into late next year.
Yes, I want to ask you about that issue of access because we know the United States government has been spending billions in terms of bidding for any potential coronavirus vaccine that's currently in development. We today learned that the UK government has done something similar, I guess in essence pre-ordering millions of doses of any successful vaccine. Is it a case that realistically it is those wealthier countries who'll get their hands on a vaccine first?
Yeah, that's an unfortunate factor right now because there is this inequality that, for example, one of the Operation Warp Speed clauses that the U.S. put several $billion into these vaccines is that it assures that U.S. and U.K. would get it first as a bonus for the investment. But the Oxford vaccine is also partnering with Gavi, which is the organization promoting vaccine access to developing countries. So hopefully it will be affordable, but the first batch might go to some of the countries who first invested in it. But hopefully by the end of next year, it will be accessible and relatively cheap for the entire world.
Okay, still sounds like there's a long way to go there, doesn't it? Dr. Eric Feigl-Ding, thank you so much again for joining us on the program.